Oh man. Oh, right. Well, that was bad, wasn't it? That was really, really bad. That was as poor a performance that Derby have turned in probably since the Blackburn game at home in what was that, late September, which was a very, very long time ago now. And at the time, obviously, we kind of were seeing the trajectory Derby were going on at that moment in time. But that was dreadful. That was so poor. And Rooney's only been here a short time, but that was uncharacteristic of the side that he had, and of the team, and of the team spirit, and of the hunger and the snap, and the desire to be basically a horrible team to play against. That was uncharacteristic of a Rooney team. I think there is enough evidence and enough body of work around what Rooney and Rosenior and the rest of the coaches have done to suggest that that was a bad night at the office. Now, it was a bad night at the office. Jesus Christ, it sucked. But I think it was just a really shocking night. Big pressure on the game on Saturday now against Coventry. Rooney admitted, and to be fair to him, he's not wrong. Like, the players do need rest. Those players have got through a lot of games, and they've got a lot of games to come as well, thick and fast. You look at guys like Kazim Richards and Jason Knight that went to the bench. Kazim Richards had started the last 15 games, might be even more than that, 19 games, and he'd finished 90 minutes in like the last 8 of those. And he's 34, and he gets through a lot of work up front up there. At some point, he was going to need some rest. As Rooney said in the press conference, it's a gamble when you do that. It's a gamble when you rest your key players. It's a gamble when you make 6 changes. And he admitted he got that gamble wrong. It doesn't make it okay, but he recognised that he got the gamble wrong, and I guess at that point that's all you can do. It looks better if they win on Saturday. Even if they draw now on Saturday, it's kind of like, it'll be, I think, a little bit of a disappointment if they draw on Saturday, considering that he tried to rest players for fresh legs tonight. I thought he was going to make changes at half-time. He didn't. He said once they were 3-0 down after 65 minutes, he said at that point he wasn't sure if he wanted to bring on some of the players, because he said he knows it's not nice being 3-0 down and being thrown on and sort of going, there you go. Cardiff, though, need to be praised, particularly Kiefer Moore, Bakuna and Ojo. They caused Derby just all kinds of problems. Andre Wisdom had big problems with Kiefer Moore tonight. Ted and Mengi didn't have a great game, in my opinion, either. I criticised Wisdom and Matt Clark for the first goal. First goal? Yeah, for the first goal. Mengi also has a part to play in that as well. I think he steps out and allows that space in behind him. Wisdom had problems with Kiefer Moore all night. Kiefer Moore on 2 occasions in the first half gets free headers, and he misses them both. If you do not mark him, eventually he will make you pay. And he did with the first corner of the second half, which he just gets across the front post. I don't think Mengi's brave enough, and I think that's difficult. He's 18. That was only his second senior start. This is a kid that, even though he's very highly thought of, still untested. He's still really, really untested at senior level. And when you've got Kiefer Moore barreling towards you, some defenders might be like, oh, no, thank you. But the fact that he gets so free to get a run at Mengi and go across the front post is in and of itself a mistake. Buchanan got pinned back. I actually asked Rooney about the shape, because I thought it was 4-1-4-1. And he sort of chuckled and went, the shape was pretty basic. We played 4-3-3. But I could see why he thought it was 4-1-4-1, because Edmondson was far too deep in that midfield position. So I didn't look like a complete idiot, and that's good, because I don't want to look like an idiot in front of Wayne Rooney. So it's clear that Edmondson was sitting far too deep in that midfield, in that shape. And when you're going to sit deep like that and you invite Cardiff onto you like that, they're going to make you pay. Cardiff might feel a little bit aggrieved that they didn't get 6 tonight. As I said, there were a couple of chances for Moore. Moore could have had a hat-trick on a different day. There was one from Bakuna. There was even one that I think went in off Ojo that was ruled out for offside. And even that was, okay, the goal didn't count, but Derby don't attack that corner. They don't try and get that ball cleared out, and it gives Cardiff a chance to make something of the second ball. and it was well, yeah, a yard more that way for Ojo to stab in, and they would have been even further behind. So yeah, bad all round. Louis Watson, shout out Louis Watson. Louis Watson came on, and once the changes were made, once Watson and Bird and Waghorn came on, Derby looked better. They stitched together a couple of nice passages of play. The passing looked a little bit sharper. Watson was on the ball. He was busy. He was active. He was pressing high up the field and trying to get ball and trying to get positioned in the final third and get balls into the final third. Thought that was really good. That was something that Derby hadn't had all night until they brought him on. Obviously, at 3-0 down, it's kind of a free hit for the young man. You just go out there, play your game, have some fun, I guess, and see whatever happens. And Rooney said that now Louis Watson has given him a decision to make on Saturday. Thought Beningame did. I thought he was fine. There were a couple of moments where I was like, nah, but he had a couple of good defensive moments, a couple of moments where he was quite good advancing the ball forward. Felt really sorry for Lee Gregory tonight. He had nothing. He had nothing all night. He had nothing. That's going to happen when usually Akinsibley can't get on the ball, can't beat a man, can't make things happen. And then the final goal. Oh God! Oh, the final goal. It just kind of capped off the night. It's sloppy from Edmondson. He's trying to stay strong and bring the ball out, and he just gets his pocket picked. Not strong enough. Kelleroos is off his line because obviously he's not expecting the ball to be lost so close to his own goal. One touch, and it was just rifled straight past Keller, who probably should have done better because it's right down his throat. So yeah, the fourth goal. I didn't think Keller could do much with the other three, to be honest. But that one, yeah, you probably can do a lot better with, although was not put in a position to succeed with the sloppiness of Edmondson. So yeah, a bad day, a bad day at the office all night. I think one thing that is for sure is Knight will definitely be back in the team on Saturday. Kazim Richards will definitely be back in the team on Saturday. Nathan Byrne will be back in the team on Saturday, I imagine, as well. And that just about sums it up. Shall we get to your comments? Shows the issues the squad has for 21-22. Yeah, this is an interesting point, Christopher. This squad could have a lot of turnover in the summer. So they've tied Kazim Richards down for another year. That's great. He might have to settle for a more withdrawn role if they bring in a younger striker for the future and who they want to build a side around as they construct a core team, as it were. But they've got him tied down. That's great. Well-deserved contract extension. Martin Waghorn, Andre Wisdom, Curtis Davis, those guys are out of contract. And then you look at the 6 loanees that are going back. There, in my opinion, is no chance on planet Earth that they get Matt Clark unless they can find £4 million from somewhere. I mean, they couldn't pay the wages on time in December. So unless the takeover happens, or Mel finds this big pot of cash somewhere, they don't get Matt Clark back unless it's for a third loan spell. So you won't rule that out, but there's no way they keep him for a 4-year deal, for example. But they need to try and get him back on loan if Brighton aren't going to do anything with him, which you'd imagine they kind of want to see what they had in him, considering they signed him and he's not played a game for them yet, and he spent 2 years out on loan on a 4-year deal. So they probably want to see what they have in him before he gets into the last year of his contract. But they kind of need to get him back. The other 5, it's too early to pass judgment on whether they'll be back or not. But they need a lot. They need a lot this summer. They need another striker. Ideally 2, because Waghorn, if he's not going to get a contract extension, which I don't believe he will, I think he'll be offered one, but I think ultimately he'll walk away from the club and search for pastures new. Gregory, obviously, very limited sample size so far, and he's been a little bit isolated sometimes. And Rooney's praised him for when he came on for Forest and he got a goal against Borough, so he's done some good and he's had some quiet moments as well. I think he's been fine. But he's only on loan, so you'll only have kind of one striker. Maybe they want Jack Stretton to be a bigger factor next year. Defensively, Wisdom's out of contract, Davis is out of contract, Clark will go back. Oh boy, Mengi will go back. Oof. So centre-backs, they're probably needed. And even without all them players going back, they still need a creative midfielder. And I'm talking a true number 10, not a Louis Sibley, because I think he's not a playmaker type number 10. I think he's more of pick the ball up and run at you and be more of a threat with the ball at his feet rather than picking cute passes. I think he's a different kind of attacking midfielder rather than a 10. And I think they need a creative, deep midfielder. Bielik has highlighted, I think, their flaws in that area. Now, I know Max Bird is very technically gifted and proficient. I think that he's added a lot to his game defensively. I think he's still working out how to be a creative force from deep. And I think in the meantime, you could probably do with another deep midfielder in that squad if you're Rooney. So yeah, a lot of turnover, Christopher, going on in that squad. Evening, Ryan. Was tonight Rooney trying to make a point to the board that he needs backing in the summer? Nav, I wouldn't rule it out. Could be. Maybe. But I also do think that there is a point to what Rooney said in that some players needed resting. Jason Knight has got through a lot of minutes, as has Kazim Richards lately, as has Nathan Byrne lately. And they've got games coming up thick and fast. At some point, you do have to rest them. I wouldn't have made 6 changes. You figure make a couple here and then make a couple more for the Coventry game and bring the 2 that you benched, bring those back in and kind of do it slowly and subtly like that rather than go, right, 6 changes, there you go, because there's always then scope for it to kind of and fall apart as it did. But I don't think the board need a message. If this board thinks that this squad can be top half next season, that's pretty worrying. If this board thinks this squad can compete in the playoffs next season, that's even more worrying, considering that 6 of their players aren't theirs permanently and will go back. So the board should already be looking at what needs to be done in the summer on a long-term basis. I don't think any message really needed to be sent out about that. I think we all know that the squad needs a lot of additions. Yes, rest sees KR Burn a night, but mistake. Yeah, I agree, Chris. I don't think that's a mistake that Rooney will make in a hurry again. Not one player put a shift in today, and that's the most disappointing thing. We should have stayed at home. Yeah, Peter, I asked Rooney about if the thing that disappointed him most was the manner that the goals were conceded in, and he sort of said, well, it's never nice to concede a goal, and kind of left it at that, really. But I didn't think Cardiff had to work particularly hard for those 4 goals tonight, and I didn't think they had to work particularly hard for the other chances that they created. I thought Derby it just always seemed like they were on the back foot all the time. But again, I think across Rooney's body of work, I think it's fair enough to assume that was a very one-off performance. I really doubt they'll turn that in again on Saturday. Doubt they'll turn that in again at all season, but I really doubt they'll turn that in again on Saturday. I'm getting tired of how much possession we get. Sorry, lost that one. Getting tired of how much possession we get playing the ball around the back. Yeah, AC, that was... they just didn't have any answers. There was no movement really from the front. I think Cardiff set up pretty well defensively where they just didn't let Derby... Because Cardiff pressed so high up the pitch and Derby was so slow on the ball that they couldn't pop it between the lines because there was no urgency in what they were doing with the ball. And when Cardiff are right at it and pressing you and Derby are kind of just dallying on the ball... there's, you're going to have a lot of stale possession because you're going nowhere with it because there's no urgency to it. I don't think that was a ploy deliberately to dominate possession and try and suffocate Cardiff. I think that was more Cardiff were intense off the ball, Derby were lacklustre off it, and as a result, all Derby could really do was kind of just pop it around and keep hold of the ball and kind of hope for something to happen. Give us a tune on the guitar to cheer us up. No, Joe, not tonight. Not even a depressing tune. End of the season, I think. I think end of the season, we're all going to get in this lovely chat room and get hammered and have a tune together. Lawrence has the quality. Lawrence has had quality games at number 10. Billy, yeah, I'd say Lawrence has had some good games at number 10 last season, particularly the second half, the turn of the year last year, where he was. Yeah, he was pretty good. He really did. After a frustrating first half of that season, he turned up and was pretty good at 10. My issue there would be, I think one would be consistency again. And I think the other would be maybe he's a little more like Sibley in that he's probably there to try and take shots from 25 yards rather than try and slide in Kazim Richards or a winger making a run from outside to win and stuff like that. But he would certainly add to those options in that position 100%. Let's be honest, we haven't been the same dominant side since Bielik got injured. I'd probably agree with that, Ridley. It's hard to lose a record signing, and when you see how good Bielik was playing, and how good he was, not just on the ball but off the ball as well. He was getting really good defensively. In terms of in midfield, a centre back, he'd always been pretty comfortable defensively, but in terms of his spatial awareness in midfield and reading the game in midfield and intercepting passes and being strong in 50-50 challenges and aerially, because doing that centre back is fine, but if you're able to have a guy that can do that 10 yards further up the pitch, then that suddenly gets you on the front foot. Yeah, they've not been the same since Bielik has gone down. They've really, really missed him. And particularly the way that he was starting to ping the ball left and right as well from the centre and move the opposition block from side to side. It's been difficult. They have to stop constant passing between the defenders and Daniel. I agree. I think I fielded that just a minute ago. I don't think this was a ploy, to be honest. I think this was Cardiff were very intense, very good at pressing, and Derby were just so bad on the ball. And when that happens, when there's no movement in front of you, you can kind of only pass to the guy next to you because there's nothing in front of you. I think there was one time in the first half where Mengi has got this ocean of space, in front of him in midfield, and he's asking someone to drop so he can give them the ball so they can turn. And it takes a while for a midfielder trots into that space. And then by that time, Cardiff have pressed and forced, I think it's Graham Shinney into a poor pass. That's bad from Derby, but that's really good pressing from Cardiff. And they did that all game. I mean, they were well worth the 4-0 win. They just were. They should be upset they didn't have 6. Bluebirds. Oh, hello, Cardiff fan. If any of you were there at Villa away under Lampard where we lost 4-0, today wasn't quite as bad. I watched that game, Ridley. I watched that game. That was not a good game. Also, the Blackburn game this season. They've had a couple Derby 4-0s over the last few years where it's been like, oh, that was grisly. Would not fancy being stuck behind Newsviac on a roundabout. Martin, he's been struggling recently. He didn't have that much to work with tonight, to be honest. I don't think it's hard to dig. It's hard to dig any of the players out. Obviously, the goals you can dig out who didn't mark and who didn't do this and who didn't close down that. But in general play, in open play, I think it's difficult to dig anyone out because I thought they were all pretty bad. That's not me trying to be awful to any of them. I just thought they were all bad. And sometimes you turn up and you suck. That happens. Sometimes I sit at this desk and I suck. It happens. It's rubbish and it sucks and it don't feel so good. But Camille does have that in his game where he hesitates rather than. There was one instant in the second half where he gets a ball and there are 2 guys in the middle. And I think he's trying to pick out a guy, but he thinks, well, there's 2 versus, I think, 4 in Cardiff's favour in the middle. And sometimes I think just try and pick out a space. Just try and get that ball into a dangerous space and make Cardiff defend it. Make it difficult to at least clear. And he doesn't do that. And I think, eventually, I think he does get a ball in and they maybe get a corner out for it. But yes, he does hesitate too much. Sometimes just try and get a quality ball in. Just try and put it into a dangerous area. Give the striker something to run onto an attack. And I don't think he does that I don't think he does that enough. But I've got a piece on Camille coming out and about his inconsistencies and about this season. I feel for him, and I also don't think he's been as bad as some people say he's been. I think he's been an upgrade on Florian Joseph-Soon out there on the right. I think he's done some good stuff that you can't always see in goals and assists. I think he's been okay, but okay. I think at a base level he's kind of fine considering a lot of things that he's not just him, but the whole squad has gone through. But it's difficult when he is also a new signing. So give him time. I think we'll know better what he is next season. Now I know that's difficult when you're brought in as a creative player and want to see goals and assists. But he cannot solely be blamed for Derby being bad in attack. And I think it's unfair to expect him to bring Derby to an attacking level where we'd like to see them consistently. I think that's unfair to expect that of him right now anyway. Last couple here. Main thought of the night, Lou Watson could literally pass as Grealish if he pulled his socks down. Yeah, he is a bit of a dead ringer for him, ain't he? Right. I'm going to wrap this up, folks, because it's 10 o'clock and I've got a copy to file. I am off tomorrow. So, yeah, look, tonight sucked, but we go again Saturday. So all of you, enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a good day tomorrow. You know, sport sometimes is shit, so don't let it get down. Don't let it get you down too much, man. And yeah, take care, everybody. Have a nice evening. Bye.